With Stable Diffusion, you can transform your videos into works of art, or even create entirely new worlds and characters. In this video, we'll be covering everything you need to know to get started with Stable Diffusion video animation. We'll start by discussing the problem of traditional video animation and how Stable Diffusion can help to solve it. Then, we'll walk you through the steps of creating your own Stable Diffusion video animation, from start to finish. By the end of this video, you'll be able to installation of Stable Diffusion on cloud-based, learn the basics of Stable Diffusion video animation, create your own Stable Diffusion video animations, use Stable Diffusion to enhance your existing video footage. After watching this video, you can make any kind of animation with the help of Stable Diffusion. So let's get started. Today, I'm excited to show you how to use Stable Diffusion on the cloud, especially useful if, like me, you don't have a powerful GPU on your laptop. First, we need to visit a website called Run Diffusion. Here, we'll sign up, but let's first take a look at their pricing plans. They offer 3 main plans. The first one is the Hobbyist plan, which costs $0.50 per hour. The best part is that they offer the first 30 minutes as a free trial. The next plan is the Professional plan, which ranges from $35 to $60, depending on your team size and other factors. The third plan is the Business and Enterprise plan, which can be customized according to your needs. For now, I'll choose the free trial plan. To do this, we click on the plan and then proceed to sign up. There's an option to sign up if you don't have an account. I'll fill in my details, complete the CAPTCHA, and then click on the sign up button. After signing up, I received an email for account verification. This is necessary to access the dashboard. I go to my email inbox, and there's the verification email. I click on the verification link to complete the process. Once my email is verified, we return to the Run Diffusion site and log in with the details. After logging in, we see an option to select a model, like Automatic 1111 for instance. We can change this later if needed. Upon selecting, a pop-up dialog box appears, prompting us to launch the model. I click on it, and the site starts building the Stable Diffusion, Automatic 1111 in this case. This process might take some time, so patience is key. Once the setup is complete, we have Stable Diffusion successfully running on the cloud. The user interface is quite impressive and user-friendly. If you find this helpful, don't forget to like the video. Now let's move on to the next steps. You're now free to do whatever you want. You can end this session here to save time or continue if you need to. So, let's start with the real magic, the reason why you and I came to this website. To begin, the first crucial step is to ensure that we are using the Diffusion extension within the Stable Diffusion environment. To check this, follow these steps. First, click on the Settings tab. Then, proceed to the Extensions tab. In my case, I have Extensions tab outside the settings. Next, click on Available and click on Load From. Now scroll down a bit to find the extension. Look for Diffusion. You can also search for it in the given tab, and at the bottom of the list, you will see an option named Diffusion tab Animation. Click on Install, and you will notice the installation process in progress. After successful installation, make sure to uncheck any unnecessary extensions to avoid potential problems. Before refreshing or reloading the UI, there's one more setting that needs adjustment. Navigate to the Settings section and scroll down to find User Interface. Click on it and then scroll further down to the Quick Settings section. Here, search for Initial Noise Dodge Multiplier. Once you find it, select it and click on Apply Settings. To activate the updated settings, reload the UI. As the interface begins to reload, we can start our testing phase. It's advisable to begin with the image-to-image feature, as it provides a more straightforward starting point for testing and gaining familiarity with the tool. First, do this in image-to-image mode, because it's easier to see what happens. Then, move this information to the forum and add more settings there. The cool thing is that you can save these settings once you're done with the forum as a text file and use them every time you make a new hybrid video in the forum. I am using On Cloud, so I will not be saving it. It will automatically be transferred when I log in my account. First, we will go to Image-to-Image tab. Okay, let's start with the prompting for the superhero video. In the Image-to-Image tab, I'll type in my prompt, a beautiful boy as a superhero, 1.5, superhero outfit, brown skin, legs, shoes, and the negative prompt. Easy, negative, signature, multiple views, bad hand V4, deformed legs, deformed feet, deformed shoes, pink skin, white skin, then drag my image in. I am using 1.5 model for animation. You can download these from the website called Civitai. As I have already downloaded it, so I will continue to settings. Before moving on, I'd like to take a moment to remind you that a lot of effort goes into creating our content. To continue supporting us, please subscribe to our channel and like the video. This motivates us to create more content like this. Now, let's proceed to the next part. Okay, so let's move on to the rest of the settings. I'll stick with Euler's method as the selection method and raise the number of steps to 15. I'm going to make it 576 pixels wide and 1024 pixels tall now. This is the best resolution to use if you want to make 9x16 movies. I've tried different settings, but it doesn't work very well. I'll set the CFG scale to 3 and the notch strength to 1. Then make sure the noise factor is set to 0. Now we'll talk about the game changing. The technique I talked about at the beginning of the video involves using the dial control net model in the control net section of the forum. This technique was discovered by a famous person who created the hybrid video composing section of the forum and was also a member of the Deformed Discord crew. He deserves a lot of credit for this. To get similar prompting results, we're going to use this method also works in the image-to-image tab, and we'll later move this information to the forum tab. Now we'll go back to the image-to-image tab and scroll down to the controller tab. Here, we'll turn on Pixel Perfect, then go to Tile and make sure that the preprocessor is set to none. Finally, I'll set my control weight to 1.75 and my control net to 1. Now I'm going to add a second control net and make it active. I'm not going to make it pixel perfect because that will slow down your computer. Then I'll go to Open Pose and choose Open Pose here. I'm going to leave the control Y at 1 and set the control mode to control net, which is more important. Let's hit the generate button. This is a pretty good result, and the tile controller model is what's keeping my character from turning into a superhero. To get more intense and stronger results in the forum, we need to use LoRaS, and I will show you how to do that in the process of turning the same video into a Lego-style video. For now, I'm going to leave my superhero as is and save all the settings so I can use them in the forum later. Okay, let's start with the Lego figure. I'm really excited about this. For this video, I used the Protein V2.2 model. You can download it if not installed yet. I have already done it, and I'm going to leave Euler A as a sampling method. Sampling steps to 15. In the control net unit, I'm only going to change one thing. The control weight will be set to 1.5. In the Open Pose control net, I'm also not going to change anything. Hit the generate button. This doesn't look too bad, and when I ran it through the form, it wasn't consistent at all. This is the new prompt. This is the new negative prompt, and we're going to change the steps to 13. Press the generate button again. Wow, this looks so much better, and if you run this through the forum, the video will become more consistent. Stay tuned because I'll be showing it to you soon. But first, let's make this cool steampunk cat. To do that, let's drag this cat image in here. For that, I used the mechanical cat, Laura, as a model, and this is the prompt I'm going to use. Sleek black stealth mechanical cat, car, cyberpunk city in background. Laura, mechanical cat, 1 ponent, 5, alt, Laura, low ra, 0.4. And this is the negative form I'm going to use. Worst quality, low quality, 2, normal quality, 1 ponent 8, low res, monochrome grayscale sketch, ugly, morbid, deformed, logo, text, bad anatomy, bad proportions. Now I am going to add Laura to our prompt. For now, click out of here again to see if it's still there. It's time to change the control net to a soft edge and set the control weight to 1. The model will stay the same. The control weight will be set back to 1, and the control mode will be set to control net, which is more important. Again, press the generate button. Okay, that looks pretty cool to me. Now we're going to move the settings from steampunk to the forum. This messed up app looks a bit confusing at first, but we'll walk you through it in the most logical way possible, starting on the left with the Run tab and working our way up to the right. Once you've done these steps once, you can save the settings and load them the next time, which will make setting this up really quick and easy. Euler can take care of the sampler, and I'll set the steps to 15. After that, I made the width 576 pixels and the height 10x24 pixels. I'll leave the seat at 1 and give my file a name. Now, the forum will create a folder in your outputs folder. In the image to picture folder, we set the animation mode to 3D in the keyframes tab. We won't need to set the video feed here because we'll do that in the hybrid video tab later. For now, I'm going to leave cadence at 2. Cadence controls how many frames are made at once. For example, if you set cadence to 2, it will make 2 frames, but only the first one will be diffused. For movies with a lot of movement, the second frame will be interpolated. Put this number at 1 for videos with a little less movement, and at 2 for videos with more movement. I also set the border mode to wrap. Now let's go to these steps. That is on the tab for keyframes. It can be hard to figure out what to do with the keyframes tab, and I was the same way at first. To make it easier to understand, keep in mind that the steps below are in their own tabs and don't belong to the tabs above or below them. To start, set the strength schedule to 0 in the strength tab. To see what different CFG scales do for you, set the CFG schedule to 2 or 3. In the C tab, set the seed. Behavior to be fixed, because we want our video to be consistent. We don't need to change anything in the sub-seat step sampler or checkpoint. Next, we go to the Motion tab and set Translation Z to 0. Next, we go to the Noise tab and set the noise schedule to 0. You could also try 0.02, but I would leave it at 0. Finally, in the Coherence tab, you can set coherence mode to none if you want to. Set the anti-blur. Set amount plan to 0 if you want the color reproduction of the original video. If you want your own color reproduction from the prompt, do that. U5. Please leave the depth, warping, and field of view as they are. Now we'll go back to the main tabs and select the Prompts tab. We'll now move our settings and prompts from the Image to Image tab to this one. Make sure the double quotes stay behind the colon and at the back. Now I'll paste it in. These are the quotes that you have to leave in or else it won't work. I'll now paste my negative prompts here. Then, turn on Override Extraction Frames. Next, we'll go to the Control Net tab and move all the controlled information from the Image to Image tab into this one. That's why we're turning it on. Finally, turn on Pixel Perfect. In the preprocessor, leave this blank. In the model, set this to Control Tiles. The weight schedule is the same as the control weight, so we're setting it to 1.5. Finally, set Control Mode to control the net. Important. Next, we'll go to the Hybrid Video Settings tab. On this tab, you set the hybrid settings to Before Motion and make sure that Generate Input Frames for Hybrid Motion is checked. Choose Optical Flow and set the flow method to this medium. Next, click on the triangle to open the hybrid plans and set the Comp Alpha schedule to 1. Now we're on the Output tab, where I set the frames per second to the same number as in the original video. You can click the Save Settings button and then Generate to save your changes. The next time you want to make a video, you can load these settings into the form. Now, after applying all the changes, my stable diffusion crashed. The next time you want to make a new video, just go to the Image to Image tab, follow all the prompts and settings, and then copy them over to the Deforum tab. Let's make another video animation. For this animation, I'm using models called Deliberate V2, Little Messy Laura, Brad Pitt Laura, Ryan Reynolds Laura, Tom Hanks Laura, and the Bad NV4 embedding, Easy Negative embedding, and Very Bad Image Negative embedding. I have already downloaded these. You can download them from Civitai as I told before. Now in the Stable Diffusion's Image to Image tab, we need to create a prompt for each character. Later in the video, I'll explain how to load these 4 prompts into the Deform tab. I'll also show you some other important settings that you'll need to change or enable. Okay, now I'm going to explain how to adjust the settings for each character in a simple way. We'll keep the settings the same for all of them. Start by choosing Euler A as the sampling method and set the sampling step to 20. Make the width 576 and the height 1024. For the CFD scale, set it to 4 and the denoising strength to 1. In the Control Net 1 section, enable Pixel Perfect. Set the control type to Tile, the preprocessor to None, and the model to Control Tile. Adjust the control weight to 1.5 and choose Control Net as the control mode. In the second control net, also enable it. Keep the control type as All, preprocessor as None, and the model as Temporal Net. Set the control weight to 0.8, and for the control mode, select Control Net is more important. Now, it's important to set the noise multiplier for image to image to 0.105. I'll use this prompt for the characters, and there are 3 embeddings in it. This negative prompt will be the same for all the characters. For the first 138 frames of the video, my character will be Lionel Messi, as I'm a big Messi fan. I'll add my picture in this tab, and I'll use this bronze prompt. Let's see the result. It is not working good for me because of more color. You can set CFG scale and denoising strength to set it more perfectly, but I will move next step. One video animation tip for you is that every time you click on Generate, it will generate a new image. Every picture has different settings, so set it according to your picture. For the next 100 frames, my character will be Brad Pitt, and I'll use this prompt for that. Let's check the result, and it also looks when we remove colored flare. Next, for the following 110 frames, my character will be Ryan Reynolds, and I'll use this prompt. The result seems to work well too. Now this flare in image is problem of stable diffusion. You can restart it to correct it. I am not going to do it because of all the settings I made. You can restart and set again to view more perfectly. Finally, for the last 100 frames, my character will be Tom Hanks, and I'll use this prompt. Let's see the result for this one as well. Although it's not perfect, it should suffice for this tutorial's purpose. Now, let's move the information from the Image to Image tab into the Deform tab. To make this easier, we can copy the path from my base deform settings file and paste it here. Then, click on Load All Settings. But for this tutorial, I am going to make changes myself. In the Run tab, set the sampler to Euler, the steps to 20, the width to 576, and the height to 1024. Now, you can give your file a name. In the Keyframes tab, go to the CFG tab and set the CFG schedule to 4. Before moving on, I'd like to take a moment to remind you that a lot of effort goes into creating our content. To continue supporting us, please subscribe to our channel and like the video. This motivates us to create more content like this. Now, let's proceed to the next part. Now let's proceed to the next steps. In the Noise tab, set the noise schedule to 0.05. Enable noise multiplier scheduling and set it to 0.05 as well. Moving on to the prompt step, you'll see I've pasted in the prompts I created earlier. The first one is for Lionel Messi, then second is for Brad Pitt, and so on. It's crucial to add your prompts exactly like this. Even a small mistake can result in an error. Ensure you keep the quotes and use commas after each prompt. I have used only commas in my prompt. However, don't put a comma after the last prompt, or it won't work. Now, add your negative prompt here. Moving on to the Inner tab, disable it and remove the content. Then, go to the Video Init tab, copy the path from your base video, and paste it like this. Make sure to delete these quotes. In the Controller tab, set the same settings as we had in the Image to Image tab. Enable Pixel Perfect for the first one, set the preprocessor to None, model to Control Tile, weight schedule to 1.5, and Control Net as more important. For the second one, enable it, set the preprocessor to None, model to Temporal Net, weight schedule to 0.8, and Control Net as more important. Then go to Output tab and set as before. Now we hit Generate button. My GPU for Stable Diffusion is a bit crappy, so I used a low-quality picture and I got following result. Now that we have our video, the next step we need to take to improve its quality involves using a free tool called Media.io. This tool allows us to enhance our video. To do this, we should follow these steps. First, I'll go to the Media.io website by either searching for Media.io Video Enhancer or directly visiting their website. Once on their website, I'll find and click on the option to Enhance a Video, which will take us to the next page. On this page, I'll see an option to upload our video file. I'll click on it, and the upload process will begin. After successfully uploading the video, I'll be presented with a choice between upscaling it to 2K or 4K resolution. For better quality, I'll select the 4K option. Next, I'll click on Process and a pop-up will appear, prompting me to either create an account or sign in on their website. I can choose to continue with my Google account for a quicker setup. Once I've signed in, the tool will start processing our video. It may take a little time to complete, but rest assured that our video will be enhanced. You will have to buy it to enhance video to 4K. Now, with our improved video in hand, now again, back to stable diffusion. Alright, let's break it down in simpler terms. I'm going to show you how to make cool animations using a tool called animate. We'll be using something called diff, and I'll also share a neat trick to make your animations longer. So, here's what you need to do. Firstly, we need to get some things ready for our project. Before we add extra features, it's a good idea to go to ffmpeg.org and grab a free application from there. This app helps us take videos in parts and put them together, and it's handy for many other projects and extensions. So, make sure to download it. Now let's get back to our main tool. To make our animations extra special, we need to add a couple of extensions, diff and control net. If you haven't done this yet, here's how inside Stable Diffusion. Find the extensions section. Go to Available and click Load From. Uncheck the Install option if it's already installed. Now you can search for diff and control net. For instance, let's say you want to animate a div, which is like a section on a web page. Here's what you do. Look for the Animate div in your web UI user interface. Click on Install. It might take a little bit, and in some cases, you might need to restart your server. By server, I mean the application that runs in your command prompt. Command prompt will only work for PC users. Now, let's talk about control net, another cool thing you can add. If you've installed these applications before adding extensions, here's what you do. Go to Install. Click on Check for Updates. You'll see if there are any updates. It might say something like, New comments. If there are updates, click Apply and then Start after all installations are done. I have already installed this in my Cloud Diffusion. Let's break it down step by step. First, look for an animated diff and a control net drop-down menu. Make sure you're using the latest version, which is VAE 84000, and set the sampling method to DMP++. For the car's sampling, set it to 2.1, but consider increasing the sampling method to 35 or even 55 for some cases. Leave all other settings as default for now since we're just testing. Now, let's have some fun and create a small, slimy, and photorealistic alien portrait as a test image. Moving on to animation, expand the animate section. You'll find motion modules, explore them. If there's more than one, try different ones. I'd suggest checking out an extension called CTI. After installing it, click on it. Now quickly I will show you how to install. Click on Extensions tab and then Load From, then click on Search bar and type Civit. Now click on this option and click on Install. Now reload the Stable Diffusion. Click on Enable for the Animate div extensions and set the frames to 25. Choose Closed Loop for a smoother, looping animation. The new addition means it won't break, giving it a seamless look. Set the frames per second to 8, and for format, go with PNG or GIF. The defaults are good to go. Everything looks ready, so let's give it a shot. Click on Generate, as it works better for me. And there you go. Now you can combine these frames to make animation. Our animation is complete and good to roll. Now if you want to get consistent results that you can reuse, diff has you covered. What's cool is that it also works with other elements, like the control net. For this video, I'm using a short clip. We need to extract a single image from this clip. The best way to do it is by using Shutter Encoder, which is free. Here's what you do. Put the video inside, then choose the function you want. In this case, we just want to create a JPEG file. After that, select where you want to save it. Also, make sure to click on Create Animation Sequence. This way, it will split the frames. While you're doing this, make sure your footage's frame rate is set correctly. In this case, it's at 25 frames per second, and it's a 4K video. Keep it that way, because it'll come in handy for longer formats in the future. Once you're set, click on the Start function. It'll split the frames for you. After it's done, you'll end up with a bunch of different frames. Organize them in a folder the way you need. Now, grab one of these images, maybe the first one, and drop it into the control net. In the control net, click on Enable Pixel Perfect to make sure it's sized properly. Then, choose Open Pose because you want to detect the person. Also, make sure Open Pose is selected. Now, when it comes to Open Pose Full, it means we'll capture the face and all the available details. Keep everything at default settings for now. Let's focus more on the control net. Check out what's happening with our experiment. At the moment, we've used just one image, and it might look a bit similar. However, notice that the model isn't moving much. This is because we've only used a single control net, kind of locking all the motions to this one setup. To unlock and add more motion to the video, we need to tweak a few things. We have to switch from a single image to a batch. Point to the directory where your sequence is created. Leave the rest as default for now. Ready? Let's click. Great, we've generated our alien, and now it's got motion because it's reading from our control net. But guess what? We can take it up a notch. Instead of being limited to 24 frames, we can make this animation much longer. You can also do it from a video. I will not be doing it because of less memory of my GPU now. For information, you will not get same result as you prompt or video because of stable diffusion mechanics. To check out your video, head over to your locations, specifically in the text to image stable diffusion. Then you can combine these frames to get animation. I will not be combining frames because my PC is just buzzing out. It's pretty heated, and I have a feeling that if I combined it, it would stop working or I will burn any component. Now, we explored how to put stable diffusion on the cloud. This is handy if your computer doesn't have a super strong graphics card, but that doesn't mean that you don't need any graphics card. We also talked about the prices on Run Diffusion, and the cool part is there's a free trial. So, you can give stable diffusion a spin without shelling out any cash up front. Moving on, we delved into the details of putting the Diffforum extension into stable diffusion. This involves tweaking settings like the initial noise thing to make everything work smoothly. We even showed how to set up image-to-image mode, which is a simpler way to dip your toes into stable diffusion and get used to how it all works. Alright, let's break down the next part of our tutorial. Now, we're bringing in some extra tools, Anime Diff and Control Net extensions. These are like the secret sauce for making animations with all sorts of characters. The presenter guides you through setting up prompts and negative prompts for different characters, adding cool stuff like Euler's method, pixel perfection, and control nets to level up the animations. One highlight is when we check out the Hybrid Video tab. It's where they fine-tune the video output to make it smooth and consistent. We also throw in a free tool called Media I/O to boost the video quality. Step by step, we learn how to upload a video, process it, and make it look awesome using Media I/O. Now, in the second part of the video, we broaden our horizons. Enter characters like Deliberate V2, Little Messy Laura, Brad Pitt Laura, Ryan Reynolds Laura, and Bat End V4 for animation. The presenter shares tips on adjusting settings for each character and smoothly switching between them, making the video dynamic and interesting. Thank you for watching this video on Stable Diffusion Video Animation. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos on AI, art, and technology. We also love getting feedback from our viewers, so please leave a comment below and let us know what you thought of this video. And if you have any ideas for future videos, please share them with us. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.